Welcome to Regional Property Unplugged, where we're not in separate houses.
Yeah, how good's this?
This is cool. A bit of freedom.
I know,
weird.
it's really good.
I just forgot what you look like in the reel.
Yeah, no, we're hanging out down at Bobby and Me.
Yes.
Beautiful spot down here.
Coffee's
There's
on the
people
way.
everywhere.
I
Yeah.
know, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful day. So we're doing a bit of a impromptu live today about some frequent questions that Mark generally gets asked about real estate, about selling today. So we've had some questions that we've noted that Mark gets asked quite often. So we'll just go through a few of those and hopefully it helps.
But if now we're actually live and we're together, we can actually see comments come through and who's jumping on, etc. So feel free to engage and ask any questions that you wish. So yeah, but I think we'll get into it, eh?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so the first question that we want to tackle this morning is basically, should I sell my house empty? And from my perspective,
yeah, well,
no.
you've got an opinion on that too, haven't you?
Yeah, I do. My perspective is no. It's like a skeleton, I guess.
Yeah.
And you know what? Some people are very visual and they can actually see what the potential is, but a lot of people aren't, and so they walk in there and go, hey, is my couch going to fit? How does this work? It just doesn't have a vibe.
No, it doesn't. And it starts with the marketing too. So if you're expecting people to fall in love with the way a house looks, whether it's on social media or on realestate.com or in the paper, it's pretty difficult when you're showcasing an empty box. You still might have a really nice kitchen, it still might have beautiful floorboards, but
that's right.
It just doesn't look as appealing in the marketing.
Yep.
And that often translates to the amount of numbers of buyers that will actually go to that. And I mean, it does. It always does. You'll always get more buyers to houses where it's presented quite well. It's just, we've talked about it, and we'll continue to talk about it. And that's just a given. So, and then not only from when a buyer walks through the home, like you said, it's a visual thing. It's hard for someone to walk in and go, okay, hang on, where am I going to put this? Where am I going to put my TV? Where am I going to put my couch?
Yeah.
Whereas if it's presented in a way that already tells that story, it's really quite a simple thing. And
absolutely, it is. And you know what? You just have to look at the newspaper. You look online. You always your eyes will just go straight to that beautiful looking place.
Yeah,
and just
every time.
Look at that.
Yeah,
every single time. So when you're doing that, you're front of mind as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put yourself in a good position.
And everyone's different, aren't they? Like a lot of your buyers. I always say there's probably 10% of buyers can visualise different things, and they're quite the entrepreneurial type of person where they can go, all right, I can visualise renovating this and knocking this house wall out and doing this and painting it this colour, and it's some people really can picture things in their mind and to take the next step, but if you're relying on 10% of the market to do that,
exactly,
it really makes it hard. So. Make sure that you, if you're presenting your own furniture, get it looking great. If you're furnishing it, then your hands down just get so much more engagement when selling.
Absolutely, we're all conditioned to visual stimulation now with Instagram, with Pinterest, with everything that we're looking at on Facebook, on all our socials. So we're really conditioned to the visual. So if you're doing that, you're absolutely up there.
That's right.
All right, what's the next one? Oh, I lost my.
You've lost it.
Hang on.
There's actually little ducks just floating around.
I know, it's a little bit
feet.
cool, right? I can't see any comments as yet, and I'm not. Hopefully, it's coming up on the side here. We've got a few people on. Say hello. Say hello if you're on, so we can see where you are.
I want to see who's there. Just give us a thumbs up. Go on, I dare you.
Exactly. Oh. Show your face.
Hey, Mandy.
Oh, Mandy's on.
She loves it.
We're good to go. All right, next one. At what point do I need an agent, like timeline-wise? That's pretty cool, actually. Yeah.
Look, it obviously depends on the level of work that's required from, to do before presenting your home. But, you need to make a good plan, don't you?
Yeah.
So, you do get I often get phone calls, oh yeah, Mark, I want to sell and I'm ready to go now.
Right now, yep.
And usually those guys are, they've got it all under control and they're, they know what they want. But, if you're someone that hasn't sold for a long time, then it's simple. Just make the phone call sooner rather than later. Because for every house is potentially a good time to sell, potentially not a right time to sell. you know, if you're, as we all know, gardens look good at different times. So if it's something that you're thinking about, I always say, if you're thinking about selling in the next 12 months, then you probably should be having a conversation already.
Absolutely.
Because there's so many little tips and tricks to, we're getting our coffees. We often, you know, it's about making sure that the presentation and everything's ready to go. So just start that conversation. It doesn't hurt to really put something in place.
That's it. It's never too early, right?
No.
If you've got a long-term plan, get an agent in just to talk about it, you know.
And a lot of people think, oh, but I feel like I'm wasting your time. It's not the case at all. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, look, I'm thinking of selling, not quite now, you know, but in the future, you know, that's our role to make sure that we are making a bit of a plan. You know, I have lots of people saying I want to be on the market next week. Lots of people, next year. You know, it might be mid next year, it might be spring next year, it might be, you know, early next year. So my advice always is get in early, start the process, start the conversation.
And you actually did do an amazing post the other day that caught my eye. It was about, you know, appraisals aren't contracts.
That's right.
So, you know, it doesn't hurt to get an appraisal done. You're not wasting the agent's time.
No.
It's an industry standard, you know, duty of care. Like, it's cool. Just do it.
Not everyone will want to do that. Not every agent is keen to just waste their time. It is 100%. Like, I've got a family friend, she's like, I'm not thinking of selling, but I'd just love to know.
Yeah.
And I said, absolutely. That's, you know, and I've mentioned in the past that it's really good to know from a insurance point of view, you know, a wealth point of view. Like, for some people, it might mean they've got equity in their home that allows them to start to think about maybe buying an investment property, you know, setting themselves up. It might be getting equity for a renovation. So all these little conversations can really lead to different things. So, you know, it's certainly something that I'm prepared to do, whether there's you know, a house getting sold in the short term or not. You know, it's just
service.
part of the
It's a great service.
Yeah, that's what it is.
For sure. All right, next one. Are open inspections important?
At the moment, no, because we can't do them.
Can't do it.
No. Look, it's an interesting scenario at the moment where there's a lot of buyers. We're having to spread our time at different properties to make sure that we can take buyers through. The good thing at the moment now, we are allowed a couple more buyers in a home at once, rather than just one buyer at a time. So that's allowed things to be a little, you know, we were spending 4 or 5 hours at one home, waiting. There's one buyer in, one out, one in, and it was making life difficult. But absolutely open homes, you know, when we're back, and I don't think it'll be long, I think we'll be back doing them pretty soon. That they are a crucial part of the process. There are people that don't like them, but you know, you've got to look at it from a point of view where if you are getting a large group of buyers in, socially distanced of course, in, you know, to look at a home, it creates competition. You know, when you are your buyers are going through, and they generally know each other. They've looked at the same houses together.
They've probably been at the other
They know their competition.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's all about making sure you're looking to get the best dollar from a vendor's point of view.
Exactly. So that's it. And I guess from a seller's point of view, because I've done it a few times now, I love opens just for the simple fact that, especially when I had smaller kids, it was, you know, you've got a home or you've got a house to sell, and sometimes it's just easier on a Saturday morning
to roll through.
Have it all looking amazing, you know, and then the kids can run amok for the rest of the week, whatever needs to happen. That's
why we give lollies out at our opens. Make sure the kids just walk around with lollies. And because parents are often like, no, don't touch this, don't do this, you know. But it's a really good, and you know, a lot of buyers in the past. Well, a lot of people that have attended opens weren't necessarily buyers. They would come through and have a bit of a look. You know, the photography was obviously a bit eye-catching. They thought, oh, I might just sneak through. And then next minute they're talking about making an offer, and suddenly this whole lifestyle change happens for this particular one. And that's all because of an open inspection.
That's so cool.
And, you know, buyers don't necessarily know whether they're ready to buy or if they're they're in the market until they actually go through a house sometimes. So you know, you're attracting your buyers and your non-buyers with opens. And
exactly.
So, but yeah, look, it's we're looking forward to getting back to them. You know, it's been nice to have the odd Saturday off through this time, but From a time management point of view for us, it's, we're not going to a house
Wow.
18 times every in 3 days, but at the end of the day, the job's to get the result for the vendor, and that's the most important priority.
Perfect, good one. Okay, so why is it important to declutter an open house? Okay, wow.
Well, you could probably answer
I'll
this.
answer this. I'll tell you why, because it feels like, especially when there's clutter around and there's personal items around, you do feel like you're intruding on someone's space.
True.
So it feels like you're walking into a stranger's home, and you do feel a little bit uncomfortable. Whereas if you don't have clutter all over the benches, if you have your personal things put away, it feels like a display home that you can take your time to look around, to get the feel of it, and people have a nice feeling about it. A lot of people, and I've seen it myself, where if it's a cluttered home, there's lots of personal stuff, people will walk in, quick look through the doors and walk out again.
Yeah.
So it is a strategy, but it's kind of helping you move with the chapter as well, because you're putting some things away that you don't necessarily see. Some people, you live with things that you don't see.
Yeah.
And other people see the mess or the chaos, but it's just life. But you're starting to put things away, and you're starting to make that transition to the next chapter. You're opening up the opportunities to sell your home.
Yeah, I think most buyers want to see space, don't they?
They do.
They want to see size in the home.
Yeah.
I always get a question from buyers. How many squares is this house? It's one of almost the first questions that a buyer will ask.
Yeah, that's true.
If it's not already in the advertising, it's for buyer. But that they want to see size and space. They want to know that they're going to be able to put a study desk, for the kids in a lounge room or in another rumpus room or whatever it is. And if there's so much, personal belongings from, that an owner has, because like you said, life goes, you just accumulate things.
Yeah, that's right.
If that's still in there, I think people might have that claustrophobic feeling, and making sure that they can picture themselves living in there and going, this is how I want to live. Because let's be honest, people look at magazines, they watch the block, they love it. They love seeing what maybe their house could be. You talk to all the tradies, and they I hate the block because people come in and they want to put a chandelier over a bath and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
but
exactly. And there's that romantic notion about being in the kitchen that's beautiful, that you have your kids sitting around while you're cooking and all that sort of beautiful stuff. And there was a comment the other day on one of my lives where the lady said, I want my curtains to blow through like a Hallmark commercial sort of thing. You know, it's that feeling that you want to have really nice things. And then if you've got a bench full of stuff, what switches that mindset is it turns it into, oh geez, there mustn't be much storage here.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah, so it's kind of like and then once that buyer gets that mindset, they start to look for other objections. So you make them fall in love straight away.
Yeah, get all your photos and magnets off the fridge. Clear all your toasters and your not so much your kettles, but your coffee machines and all. Because a lot of people have appliances these days.
Yes.
So, and if you're taking a lot of that stuff off your kitchen bench, simply that again, you picture most people that cook, men and women, they want to know that they can actually lay their bench space. It's all about bench space. So
it's perfect.
Yeah, so definitely unclutter, declutter, call Shona.
I'll help you. All right, so can I sell my home while I have a lease in place?
Yeah, you can. Yep. It's a tricky one, because if you're selling an investment property with a tenant in place, with a long-term lease, then who's your buyer going to be?
Yes.
An investor.
That's right.
So, if people have the option, if a tenant leaves, then that's probably the best time to probably do those little fix-ups, and then go down the path of selling, because then you're opening yourself up to the whole market.
Yes.
So, you'd imagine that maybe, and then the investor buyer is a lot less at the moment. There's not as, it's definitely starting to pick up, but over a couple of months ago, our Melbourne, obviously, investors dropped off. And they were a big part of our investor client. Now that it's starting to improve, and it will improve, but if you're talking 10, 12, 13% of the market, you've got a really narrow part of the market you're working with.
That's true.
And therefore, if you are selling an investment property that the tenant decides to vacate and you decide to then sell it, well then obviously then you get your first home buyers, potentially you get your young professional couples, you'll get your families, which is the biggest chunk of the market, and they're the ones that will most likely pay the most, and your retirees, which your retirees are the ones that if the property's right, they'll buy it right or wrong because they've got certain things that they need, space for the caravan, etc.
Perfect. So it's just broadening.
Literally, you're opening. You're up. You're potentially going from 3 buyers to 15 buyers.
Yeah, perfect.
And on a bigger scale, more so sometimes. So, look, the situation with tenants at the moment, you can't just go and boot a tenant out just to sell it.
No, that's right.
We're going through a period of time where, it's a hard situation, but at the end of the day, you'll want to make sure that if you've got an investment property, you're better off waiting till the lease is up and potentially the tenant's going to move out, and then open yourself up to the market.
Yep, I agree. Perfect. All right, so I reckon one more question before, if anyone has any questions, please drop them in. But I reckon one more question before we go, because we're going to keep them nice and short and sweet from now on, so we don't take up too much of your time.
It's not like we're going to bore people though, is it?
Exactly. No, that's right. What time of the year should I sell? This is cool because you know what? I personally feel like every season has its benefits.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It's really interesting. I'll give you a little snapshot of why at the moment, to give people an idea, and I've mentioned this over the last few weeks, there's a real lack of stock, right?
Yeah.
And I think because there's a few reasons why I think there's a lack of stock. Typically spring is when most people, there's a few reasons why people jump on the market at springs, because it's beautiful. Like the weather is beautiful, the gardens come out, your houses often look their best. People feel good because they've just come out of winter. They're starting to get out in the garden. They want to then, they spent all winter in a house that's too small. They want to then jump into something that's a bit bigger, so they put their house on the market. But not only that, it's a time where people sell, because typically the end of the year is transition time for work.
Yeah.
For nurses, for doctors, for teachers in particular. Often it's a time where, well, if I'm going to move at the end of the school year, and so my kids are in school by the start of the start of the school year in January or February.
Yep.
And I reckon we're missing a lot of that at the moment.
Wow.
People are feeling pretty safe in their roles. They don't necessarily want to leave their job because of COVID.
Yep.
And that's probably my take on why the market is, why there's so much hype, because there's not much stock. There's a lot of buyers at the moment because of, everyone's going through a lifestyle change of going through COVID and being at home.
Yep.
And then obviously now they're fighting over properties, which is ultimately pushing the price up.
Yep.
So typically spring is a great time to sell because everyone's feeling good and there's a lot of buyers. But, we have great results in winter because there's less stock. Still a lot of buyers. We often have great success in autumn, because I think Mildura almost looks its best in autumn when the deciduous trees are all red and orange and the vines. I think it's one of the best times. Sometimes the gardens even look better than spring. But look, there's no good time. A lot of people lately are saying, Mark, when should I put my house on the market?
Yeah.
There's no mirror ball. We'd all love to have one. There's a lot of, every second person you speak to, I reckon the market's going to crash. If I was to sit here and say, I remember having these thoughts back in April when COVID was, I was going, wow, I hope this doesn't mean that the market starts to slide and then potential vendors start to lose out. They lose their equity and etc. So I think that to think where we are now, 6 months later, and the market is going so amazingly crazy, is incredible. So you've just got to pick the time that's right for you, I think. And again, it might be a conversation where I come around and have a look at the type of house. And,
exactly.
Naturally, if you're selling, I think if you've got a pool to sell, you sell it now, because most people want the pool for summer, don't they?
Exactly.
So it's like selling a speedboat at the start of winter. You just don't get that much traction. So there's no there's no particular answer, but it varies.
I think when it's right, when it's time to move on, it's time to go, because I think it doesn't fall in a season, does it really?
No.
It's got a steady.
And it will depend on people's jobs and why they need to be at a certain place at a certain time.
And take into account settlement, right?
Yeah.
Because that prolongs.
That's
you
it.
know,
Yeah, you could have a 90-day settlement, which takes time. So sometimes those people, like I have people thinking, I need to be out of the house, in 2 months. It's like, well, we better get moving.
Exactly,
because, by the time you get the house looking good in photography, but if you follow those right processes that we've discussed, if you get your house looking good, then there is no better time than now, because at the end of the day, you're doing absolutely everything. In any market, you still want to do all those little things to get it right in any time of year. Exactly. So you get those little things right, you'll get the result.
We're getting the result, and we are. It's bang, bang, bang from putting it on the market to getting it sold. We've got some questions, which is cool.
I get a lot of real estate agent letters in my letterbox each week. Type of marketing, I guess, isn't it? It's brand awareness. It's something that a lot of agents try and do to try and get vendors in that particular area. So
do you think it's like, I think it's a good strategy to go, I wasn't thinking about it before, but hey, let's have a conversation around dinner table tonight.
Personally, each to their own, right? If I get a lot of mail in my letterbox, it typically just goes in the bin.
Recycle.
But you need to be already thinking about real estate to actually for those sort of things to work.
Yeah, true.
I think the most important thing, and the letterbox drops that I do, is when a property comes on the market in that particular area.
Yep.
Because more often than not, someone or a friend or a family member will want to be in that neighbourhood that family member or friend live in. So there's a high statistic of someone that knows someone in that area wants to be there.
That's true.
So we often canvass the area for potential buyers through the neighbours. And I think that's the most important thing.
And I guess if people are really loving that area and they miss out on that one, there's that one down there.
Yeah, that's it. And you get a lot of people saying, I want to be there because my friend's there, or it's a good neighbourhood, or whatever it is, and my family. The one big thing at the moment is family. At the moment with COVID, I'm seeing a lot of people making big decisions to sell or buy because of family, and that's to bring their family member closer to them, or vice versa. People that want to get close to an ill family member, or just elderly parents, or their kids, because COVID's done something, and that's really separated everyone, and it's scared people. So I think that's a lot of decisions with family at the moment is impacting real estate.
I think it's all about priorities. People are really starting to think about it. They're still reassessing their life and how, because we all got busy. And it just made us stop and slow down.
Literally everyone just went,
Stop.
Spending Easter just with your own family was, I think, for a lot of people was great. There's been a lot of sadness and things that people have missed out on, but I think what it's done is it's made people realise how important family is. And real estate's a big thing, from that point of view. So
that's really cool. All right, so I've been thinking about levelling our backyard and re-landscaping. Is this going to add value to the sale price of our home, or should we just leave it and let the new buyer do it?
No, always get it looking good. Always.
I agree.
If you're expecting your buyer to have to come in and then visualise and spend effort and time and money on that backyard or in that, when they move in. See, the other thing is you've got to look at it from a finance point of view. Most buyers they might just have $300,000 with their deposit, and that's what they spend on the house. Then they've got to go and spend an extra 10 or 20, and how long is it going to take them to save that up? They want it perfect there and then. 9 buyers out of 10 want to be able to walk into a home and not lift a finger. So I think that's an absolutely crucial.
Because if they're doing their numbers and they're seeing that it's going to take them, $10,000 to get their front yard done, that's going to say, well, hey, let's put in an offer. That we can afford to be able to do the garden as well. Do the garden as well. Put in an offer. I just think it's really important.
I'm selling a house 3 Tamansi Court at the moment, and it's got the greenest and perfect grass I've ever seen at the front and the back, and you can see it in the buyers. They stand out the back and go, this is amazing. And they're talking about the garden, they're talking about the grass, the nice trees. If it was a different scenario and if it wasn't presented that well, then they wouldn't be sitting out there enjoying how it feels.
Is it. Do you know how many people are struggling with their lawns?
I'm not. I'm a really massive into it. Yeah.
But I mean, it's all looking green, but there's weeds and stuff. But
there's weeds everywhere because of the rain.
Yeah. You know, but if it's amazing, you know, it's just one of those things that you'd think that no one thinks about. But when you've got it and it's all set up and it's beautiful and it's manicured, it's just people just go, wow.
Get you, and it's something. It's just a simple thing that I say. If you're thinking of selling, just put a bit extra water in your grass than you normally would. Fertilise it, get it looking green, because in photography, the green gives really good contrast.
Oh, it does.
So again, you've got to think about all of it, not just the inspections, but why people might want to go there in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. It's that first impression, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
This is good. We're doing this every week.
Can we?
Every fortnight.
Much better than sitting and trying to work out where you are.
Yeah.
I love it. It's cool.
I'm thinking of getting some bacon and eggs.
Yeah, nice. I feel like a roll.
It's a good vibe down here, and that's what Mildura, I think, is really good for now. Is we've got this beautiful riverfront, and people really lap it up. They're enjoying it, and they're making the most of it. So
it's really good. It's all going to get better from here on in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for everyone that's jumped on. I couldn't see who you are to say hello to, but I can see that some people are on.
I'd like to see who they are.
Yeah, I know.
How do we
really
work that out?
Sometimes they come up, sometimes they don't. Yeah.
Shoot us a like.
Yeah, shoot us something.
Okay.
Thank you so much for jumping on, and we will be. I reckon. What are we going to do next time? We're going to do questions and answers.
Frequently asked questions from buyers.
Yes, which would be really cool.
Yeah.
Because we're actually in a time where there's a lot of competition. So
heaps of competition.
Loads.
Look, you know, and there's so many questions. There's probably more from a buyer's point of view. It's a scary time for them because they're feeling like they're having to rush into decisions at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Because properties are on the market and off the market really quick.
Exactly.
So, I think that'll be a good one. So if anyone's got any lead-up questions, just shoot us a message.
Absolutely.
We can address it when we get there.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, guys. You know where to find us if you need some help in the meantime, and we'll catch you next time. Bye for now.
See you guys.
Bye.